Now, Brazil's prosecutor-general has argued that former President Jair Bolsonaro and his allies plotted to overthrow democracy through a series of interconnected events aimed at keeping him in power illegally. The claim as the ex-leader's coup trial enters the verdict phase. The former right-wing president accused of conspiring to stage a coup to stay in power despite losing the 2022 presidential election to the current president, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. Bolsonaro, he denies any wrongdoing. He's repeatedly said the trial is a politically motivated attack. Well, earlier we spoke to correspondent Onozsko in Rio de Janeiro.
Today was the start of the final act in this criminal investigation, which has dominated headlines here in Brazil over the last 2 years. The words being used to describe it are historic, unprecedented, because never before has a former president of Brazil stood trial, charged and accused with trying to stage a coup d'etat. Not only that, but Bolsonaro is joined by 7 other defendants, many of whom were in his government, 3 of whom are army generals, and 1 of whom was the former head of the Navy. They're all accused of trying to overthrow democracy when Bolsonaro lost the 2022 election to President Lula. Now, the prosecution alleges that Bolsonaro was the leader of a criminal organization that even before the election in 2022, tried to undermine the legitimacy of Brazil's election system, also attacked its democratic institutions and spread fake news, all in an attempt to justify him clinging on to power in the event that he lost the election, which of course he did. Also under investigation is an alleged plot to kill President Lula, his vice president, and also Alexandre de Moraes, the Supreme Court justice, who is presiding over this particular trial. Now, proceedings started this morning with Alexandre de Moraes reading a report into his investigation, and then the prosecution and defense lawyers were given the opportunity to state their cases. For the prosecution, the fact that Bolsonaro held meetings with members of his government and the military to discuss a potential coup and also drafted a decree justifying him staying in power is evidence that the plan to stage a coup was already underway. And the only reason it didn't go ahead was the fact that the head of the army and the head of the Air Force refused to be involved. Bolsonaro's lawyer himself is yet to speak in this final stage of the trial, but the former president has denied all the charges, saying that he had no involvement in any attempt to stage a coup, and also pointing out that the transfer of power in 2023 passed off peacefully.